Riker, you're nothing but a pretty mannequin in a fancy uniform. You're full of hot air. Picard has a problem with me. You tell him to come and talk to me himself.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Fully Functional, a Team G podcast. I'm Maggie, joined by Jeff and Dory.
Yo.
Jeff and I are huge Star Trek nerds, and Dory's a Star Trek novice, and we are taking her on our first journey through Star Trek The Next Generation. Today we're talking about the Season 3 episode, Hollow Pursuits. Original air date, April 28th, 1990. And as always, we'll take it to Dory for the recap.
Okay. We start off, Troy looking incredible. Blue dress, earrings, like 10 out of 10. Gorgeous. And we're in 10 forward. And we meet this guy, Barclay, who, like, Guinan's like, trouble follows you, Barclay. And then Geordi comes in. He's like, you're drinking on the job. And Barclay's like, look, pal, why don't you do me a favor? Take yourself and your holier than thou attitude and get out of my life. And then he pushes Geordi so hard he goes flying over a chair.
Which is weird because the push doesn't even look that hard. It looks like it's like a minor shove at the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, wow, what the fuck was that? And then Riker comes over and he will not stand for insubordination. So then, like, Barclay puts him in like a headlock. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then Barclay's like, Riker, you're nothing but a pretty mannequin in a fancy uniform. You're full of hot air. If Picard has a problem with me, you can tell him to come and talk to me himself. And then I wrote, is he in the holodeck? Is this real? And then Barclay slams Riker on the bar and then goes over to Troy. And then Geordi runs away. And then Troy, I don't usually do so many quotes, but it's relevant. Then Troy goes, I feel your confidence, your arrogant resolve. It excites me. And then Barclay is called away. And then lol, yeah, it's the holodeck. This is just a whole fucking scenario that this guy, Reg Barclay, like, came up with.
Yep.
Which is so fucking funny. Oh, God. So then we cut to, like, Geordi and Riker just talking shit about Barclay. Barclay, whatever.
Don't you mean
maybe
broccoli?
I'll just call him Reg. Yeah, oh boy, we're going to get to that. Maybe I'll just call him Reg. I'm going to call him Reg.
Yeah, stick with Reg.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they're like shit talking Reg real hard. Apparently, like, Reg is late all the time. He's like not great at his job. He's really shy. And so then, like, Reg thinks he can like sneak in without being seen, but he just like goes behind a bunch of like barrels and shit. And Riker's like, we can see you, bro. Like, what the fuck? So then he tells him, like, listen, I don't know how things, like, went on your old posting, but this shit does not fly on the Enterprise. And also, that's, like, all this happens, and we're, like, 3 minutes into the episode.
Oh, yeah. A lot goes on here.
Okay, so then they're taking tissue samples from Mucklex to, like, bring to this other planet for containment for another fucking disease virus shit.
Yep.
So, like, something goes wrong with, like, this canister thing, and Reg is like, it shouldn't do that. And everyone's like, yeah, no fucking shit, Reg. That's sort of the thing. And so then, like, Geordi goes to speak to Picard, and he's like, thought I could work with anyone except for this dumb piece of shit. And Picard is just like, I hear you, I see you, I listen, but also no, I don't care that you're like having a hard time with him. Picard says, try to find some way to help him make a positive contribution. Get to know the man better. Make him your best friend. And Geordi goes, with all due respect, sir, my best friend, I can barely tolerate being in the same room with the man. Which I always found really funny because, like, when I was a kid, the I'll be your best friend was like not a threat, but like if you do this for me, I'll be your best friend. Mm-hmm. So that's what I immediately thought of for this. Yeah. But like, it doesn't, I guess, make a lot of sense in this context, but I did find it very funny. It's like your parents are forcing you to hang out with a kid you don't
Yeah.
want to. And you're like, but they're lame.
Yeah.
Oh, just like fucking pretend.
No.
Like, you can't just decide you're friends with someone. You gotta like have something to like, I don't know, a common something. But Reg is like lame. Ugh. Well, actually, you know what? At first I thought like, is Reg like incel styles or something?
No.
Like, does he like, but then the more I got in, I'm like, oh no, he's just got like major social anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
He has,
is
like,
100%
literal, like,
anxiety.
crippling social anxiety.
You know what
Yeah.
really bothered me about that scene in the ready room, actually? So Picard makes a really good point when he says that it's easy to transfer a problem to someone else. And it's like, wow, yeah, that is a really good point. And then immediately tells Geordi to solve the problem. And it's like, great, yeah, thanks for leading by example, Picard.
Well, I think his point is that we're not just gonna pawn him off on someone else. Like,
Oh, yeah, I know.
you know.
But then he does that to Geordi instead of like, well, maybe we should find out who is best on the crew to tackle this problem instead of, yeah, you do it.
Yeah.
Good luck.
So then Geordi like puts in an effort. He goes to see Reg and he's like, oh, I was planning on doing this diagnostic test thing. And I was just like, okay, why didn't you do it? That like, what, you're planning to do it? Bro, what have you even been doing? But Geordi's like super nice and he's like, oh, you'll come to the meeting at like 8 tomorrow. Oh, by the way, it is also revealed that like Wes calls Reg broccoli because like Barclay broccoli.
Yeah.
And they mention this, I think, to Picard. And
And Picard's like, yo, that's not
that
cool.
doesn't, yeah, Picard's like, don't like that, but this is an interesting episode for Picard, I'll put it that way. Yeah, so Geordi invites him to the meeting. We go to the meeting. Reg is like, he's like barely on time. But Geordi is like, honestly like give a lot of props to Geordi in this because I think he's a pretty, even though he was like, I'm done with like Reg, let him like switch. When he leans into this of like, I'm going to make the effort, he really, really fucking tries.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
And he's actually is like proves that I think he's a very good leader because he really gets through and like makes the effort to like focus more time on Reg, and there is like good results because of it. And so like the good job for Geordi, like high fives, you know. Good,
I think
good job, Geordi, this
the
episode.
meeting is actually an excellent example about that because he realizes that
Yeah.
Reg is very nervous when it comes to social stuff, but clearly he does have an aptitude when it comes to technology and tries to get him to come out via that expertise. And like,
Yeah.
that's a really good idea.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
like, because I think that's the reason why Reg has gotten by to this point is that he is actually like very good at what he does.
Yes.
He's just like, you
His
know,
social anxiety and his lateness kind of like is what people recognize more
yeah,
than his actual work. So yeah, so in the
yeah, it gets in the way.
yeah, so in the meeting, like Geordi delegates all this shit to all these people, and then like he gives Reg stuff, and then but like Reg keeps trying to like talk, and like Wes keeps butting in. And even I was like, Wes, I love you, but like shut the fuck up for a sec.
Yeah.
Like let Reg talk. So then Reg is like decides to go back in the holodeck, and he's complaining to Troy about Wes, and he's like, I want something unusual. And then we cut to basically like golden hour,
Yeah.
I guess. But it looks like Midsummer Night's Dream. It's like a really beautiful set. So like, Reg, good for you on the production design of
Yeah.
this place. It's beautiful. I would absolutely love to hang out there. However, I don't understand why he said unusual, because like there's truly nothing unusual about this.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful. So I was just like, what? I'm worried about you, Reg. What do you think is unusual about this place?
Well, unfortunately, I don't know if this was the intention, but like it kind of came off like he was gonna do it with the Troy hologram, and he wanted a unusual place
different-
to do it.
Yeah, I was gonna say hologram used for sex confirmed, basically.
Oh God. Yeah, this was like very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's implications of it in the past, but this is definitely the most overt one up until this point.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so hologram Troy is now in like a goddess sort of like Grecian robe situation. She looks incredible, but like that's not the point here.
Yeah.
She goes, "I am the goddess of empathy. Cast off your inhibitions and embrace love, truth, joy." And I just was like, okay, Age of Aquarius.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
It's like the opposite of her from the pilot episode. It's like loneliness.
Oh my God. Despair.
Yeah.
Loneliness. Yeah. Did Reg watch the pilot?
This is the dawning
the
of
AV.
the age of the counselor.
The age of empathy. Empathy. Yeah, so then we go to like the group. I think they're in 10 forward and they're like shit talking Barkley, but Data's there now, and so like somebody calls Reg broccoli, and Data is like, the fuck?
Yeah.
That was a really good line from him, actually. I thought that was a
Yeah.
really respectful way to call out the fact that they're being assholes. And
Yeah.
like
They are,
using
yeah.
using Data not understanding that in order to point it out, I thought was a really strong way to point out for even the audience, like, this is shit that you shouldn't do, because here's what it should mean, and here's what
Yeah.
it ends up meaning.
Yeah, because like Data goes, "Pardon me, but why is Lieutenant Barkley being referred to as clandestinely as a vegetable?" And then I think he says after, like, and they're like, "Well, it's a nickname." And I think he was like, "Well, isn't a nickname supposed to be like a nice thing?" And everybody's like, "Well,
It's not a nickname if you don't say it to the person's face.
Yeah, nicknames
Yeah.
generally denote fondness is the quote that he uses, and I'm just like, you know what, Data? You're fucking right.
yeah." So while they're sitting there, oh yeah, we meet like Duffy, who's like an engineering guy, and somehow he's like relevant to this plot.
Oh yeah, he gets a name.
Reasons,
He's that important.
yeah, and
Yeah.
he gets lines, which makes him more important.
Yeah.
That's right.
And also more kudos to Geordi, because he's like, Data's like, you guys are being dicks. And Geordi's like, you know what? He's right. The broccoli thing stops now.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be fair, Geordi should have stopped it when the captain told him to stop it. But
Yeah.
it's good that he's being called out on it in front of everyone and is like, you know what? Yeah, that's it. We're done. That's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then they're sitting there chatting, whatever, and then like Duffy's glass starts to like leak and everybody loses their mind. And at first I was like, I don't get it. Is there just like a hole in the glass? I was like, I don't understand why everybody's like freaking out. And then, yeah, they like think that the glass has come into contact with like an unshielded power source. And then we learn the Enterprise has like 4,000 power systems. And I was like, what? I mean, I guess that makes sense because it's so big, but I can't comprehend the idea that there's 4,000. Like, I don't even know what you do for 1,000 power
There
systems.
isn't. It's just a number that they picked in order to serve the plot. Like, it's just, they didn't think about it when they came up with that number.
It's just wild. That's like a number I can't picture systems. Okay, so then they have like a little meeting of like, okay, we have to figure out what's going on. And Reg is like, I'm going to monitor the systems. And then Picard goes, I'll look forward to your report, Mr. Broccoli. And then everybody fucking died, including myself.
Yeah.
Like everybody. Oh my God. Picard's face was fucking incredible.
Yeah.
He just, when he realizes what he said, he just like, that might be his biggest shame he's ever had. I just wrote, I'm deceased. I have planned my funeral because this is it. I have died, and not in a fun way, just in like, I cannot believe he said that to his face. Reg does take it incredibly well though. He just like books it out of
Yeah,
he's
got
like,
it.
boy. Yeah, and then Data, of course, doesn't know how to read a room, which is fair. Data goes, metathesis is one of the most common of pronunciation errors, sir. A reversal of vowel and consonant, and then cut to Picard looking horrified.
I love that he cuts himself off.
And then,
Yeah.
Data goes, bear to Brock. And then Data just turns away.
Yeah.
Just like goes back to whatever he's doing. Oh my gosh. So now we're with Geordi talking to Guinan in 10 forward, and Guinan is wearing this incredible yellow outfit. Oh, the yellow is...
Okay, no, I'm sorry. The yellow outfit, it looks like a mop broom.
But the color is... Yeah, the texture, questionable.
Yeah.
But that color looks incredible on Guinan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that yellow. Because it's almost kind of like a jewel, kind of a mustardy jewel tone, if you will.
Yeah.
And Guinan, just like the jewel tones, oh, that's like, it's gorgeous. So like Geordie's like, what the fuck do I do? This person's like a fuck up or whatever. And Guinan's like, she's like, do you know Reg? And Guinan's like, yeah, I know him. He like comes in, basically says nothing, and I give him more milk. And I was like, that sounds about right, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think Geordie also was like, yeah, that sounds about right. Something like that. I don't remember what he actually says, but... So then Guinan tells Geordie about her mother's brother, Turkham, who's like the misfit of the family, but nobody was like interested in getting to know him except for Guinan. And because Guinan spent time with him, learned that like he's got a sense of humor, but nobody else was really interested to like getting to know him, so they wouldn't know this. Mm-hmm. So this is sort of applicable to Reg, and Geordie's like, well, Reg is like late and nervous all the time, and like so everybody hates him. And Guinan's like, do you think maybe he's like late and nervous all the time because he knows people hate him?
Yeah.
You think that could like add to this? And Geordie's like, oh yeah, fair. Like, yeah, Geordie, yeah, welcome. Guinan just like absolute facts, just truly incredible. I love Guinan so much. So Geordie's like, okay, I'll go talk to him, and then like walks into the holodeck. And I was just like, can people just like casually walk into the holodeck? But I'm like, yeah, I guess they've done that many times before. But it just feels like people shouldn't be able to like casually just like walk into the holodeck while people are in there, because like it feels like an invasion of privacy.
Yeah, definitely.
Even though like the shit that Reg is getting up to is like not what one would call kosher, I would say, but like it's still like his as like kind of creepy and whatever as it is, like
it's still his private fantasy life.
Yeah.
Even though it's
so,
totally not cool.
So then, so like Geordie goes in, and I'm just like, how quick is it going to be until it turns cringy? Mm-hmm. So like, didn't have to wait long. So Geordie comes across Dr. C in this incredible dress. Mm-hmm. Everybody's sort of in like 18th century, like, well, it's basically supposed to be like Three Musketeers situation. So Dr. C is sitting in her gorgeous gown on a swing on a tree. And I did not even realize that was Wes standing on the tree until she was like, you're embarrassing me, son, or whatever. And she says, good morning, my lord. Manners, my son, manners. You embarrass me before our guest. Master Barclay will spank you if you misbehave. And then Wes is just like standing there eating a pie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't
like very grossly
get it. Yeah, and I just was like, this is truly wild.
Well, it's because he sees Wes as a brat.
Yeah, I did not hate this, though.
No. I don't think it's necessarily deserved, but it is so funny.
Yeah, and then so then Geordie's like, where's Reg? And she's like, they're fighting. Boys will be boys. And I threw up in my mouth because every time I hear that phrase, I'm ready to just burn everything to the ground. So, like, Reg is, like, I don't know how to describe it other than double fisting swords, if you will. And, like, fighting, I guess, like, the Three Musketeers who's Data, Picard, and Geordie. And Data's face with the facial hair, it looks like the V from Vendetta mask.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, they're, like, doing their sword fight, and honestly I bet they had a fucking blast filming this shit.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
It looked like
definitely.
They had such a good time, and honestly it's so fucking fun. Like, and I will give a lot of credit to the actor who plays Reg, because he's very good in this episode, because he goes from like the super shy and like bumbling to like the confident, and like, and then you can also see him in other parts of the episode, which we'll get to in a bit. Like, he is just, I think, was very, very good in this episode.
So background corner interlude. So he was apparently recommended to the show as a lifelong Star Trek fan because he worked with Whoopi Goldberg on another show back in 1990 at some point. So that would have been the year that they made this. And he ended up really impressing her when they worked together, and she recommended him to Rick Berman to find a part for him or keep him in your thoughts, if you're looking out for a part. And they ended up calling him in. It was a total surprise to him, and he got the part and obviously played it fantastically.
Oh,
but
he was great.
But what really stands out about this, which would have been more notable at the time, not as much now because nobody cares about it anymore. So the actor Dwight Schultz was known for playing the foul-mouthed and aggressive Mad Dog Murdoch on the A-Team, who was the pilot of their thingy there.
Oh my God! On
and
the TV show,
the beginning of the episode in which he's playing that like arrogant piece of shit guy is kind of a fake out for people who recognized him.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Wild. Oh wow! I did not realize he was from the A-Team.
Yeah, most people wouldn't right away, just because a lot of people nowadays don't remember the A-Team very much. It's not a show that gets a lot of syndication, unfortunately.
I love it when a plan comes together.
It is a lot of fun. But yeah, him on Star Trek is fucking fantastic.
Yeah, he was great. He truly, he was fantastic in this. He was really fun. Okay, so then, so they Reg also has an English accent, and it was very good.
Yes. I shall speak with my soul, sir.
So he kind of talks to Geordi, and Geordi is I guess he appreciates Reg's imagination, because at this point this isn't that bad. It's funny and whatever. It gets worse, I guess, later.
Yeah.
But they're well, I guess what happens in the holodeck stays in the holodeck, mostly.
Yeah.
Sort of.
I do like that he points out I've had my my stuff on the holodeck too. It's yeah, Geordi, you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I wrote in when Geordi's I appreciate Reg's imagination, and I just wrote, Geordi, Reg wants to fight or fuck everyone in the crew.
Yeah.
So then Geordi's maybe, because also Troy is not in this scene, so Geordi doesn't know about how into Troy Reg is, and he's maybe you should see Troy, and Reg is no, no, I shouldn't see Troy, no, it's cool. But then Reg says, this is really interesting. So Reg is being afraid all of the time of forgetting someone's name, not knowing what to do with your hands. I mean, I am the guy who writes down things to remember to say when there's a party. And then when he finally gets there, he winds up alone in the corner trying to look comfortable examining a potted plant. I'm just Reg, that's social anxiety, my friend.
Yep.
Apparently that quote was taken directly from something that Michael Piller said to Ira Stephen Bear as him describing himself. Because Michael Piller was also kind of awkward in social situations too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fairly relatable thing. I mean, I don't think, well, no. I was going to say, I'm not a plant. I wouldn't go to a plant. If there's a dog, I will be sitting on a floor in a stranger's house petting their dog.
Yeah.
But I suppose I am more of a social person. So I guess this is partial. No. You know what? I don't know if this is necessarily applicable to me. I don't know where I'm going with that. Never mind. I do have social anxiety, but not this way. Different social anxiety, let's say.
Yeah. It manifests differently.
Yes. I talk too much to be able to stand at a corner by myself. So Geordi is just really, you should please go see Troy. I promise, it'll be helpful or whatever. Reg is just very much no, but we'll see. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
So then O'Brien calls Geordi in, and their cylinder thing is does he transport it there? Yeah. Okay. So he he does the transporter and moves this cylinder to a different space, and then he brings it back and it's broken. So Geordi's just glad I don't have to anywhere to go. So then this is really arbitrary. I suppose I don't have to mention this, but because I love timelines in this show, they're there's 22 hours till we get to our destination. I was okay, sure there is.
Yeah.
22 hours, that doesn't matter. Anytime they mention time in the show, I'm just gonna note it down. It's so funny. Never makes sense. Oh yeah, they're trying to like figure out what the fuck's going on with the ship, whatever. So then Reg goes to therapy with Troy, and Troy is like working overtime to like make him feel comfortable. And like I get Reg's like her wanting to make people comfortable make him uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, we can do whatever. And then she's like, oh, it's okay if you're like intimidated by me or whatever. And he's like, no, I'm cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
And she's like, tells him to like deep breathe. And I think he's like starting to do that. But then she touches his arm. And I'm just like, oh, that boy needs to leave.
Yeah.
So that therapy session ended abruptly.
Yeah. I'm sure if she knew this very important piece of information about him, she would have approached this differently.
Yes. Yeah. So now we're back on the bridge, and Riker. Oh yeah. Also, we see Worf, and I was like, "Hey, Worf, like I miss you, bro."
Yeah.
There's like no Worf in
Worf,
this
you get a
episode,
line.
almost. So okay, now Riker is pissed because like Reg was supposed to meet him, like was supposed to be at like a thing at 1400 hours, and he's not there. So they're like, let's find out where he is. And Riker is fucking pissed because Reg is in the holodeck again. Mm-hmm. So then Troy, Geordi, and Riker go to the holodeck to go speak to Reg. And I just am like, I'm like kind of worried at the time of like,
I know that
are we gonna
Geordi
see
brought Troy along in order to like try to do damage control, but honestly, the more people that he brought along, probably bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like almost convinced that like they were gonna walk in and gonna see like a Reg decapitating Riker in the holodeck or something. So then Riker does make a good point of like maybe they shouldn't maybe be allowed to like create the other crew members in the holodeck.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
It's like it is pretty fucking creepy. Yeah, and yeah, I was like, I don't disagree with that. So like Riker goes to end the program. Troy's like, no, leave it. It's like his way of coping. And then Wes is still eating pie.
Yeah.
In the background. So then like the Musketeers, like they want to fight Riker. Riker's not interested. Then they all call out for number one. And and then it's little Riker.
Yeah.
Oh god.
A mini-me, if you will.
Yeah, his like voice is higher. He's in like a frilly blue outfit. It's real fun. And you can really tell that like what's his face? I can't remember anybody's name. Their actor, like their real name.
Jonathan
you can tell
Frakes.
he was having yeah. He was having a good time with this. Like,
Oh yes.
you can tell like everybody was having a real fun time with this episode, with like the holodeck version of themselves.
Yeah.
So little Riker is like, you challenge. They keep calling for Reg, and little Riker's like, you challenge the greatest sword, and then Riker goes, and all the holodeck, and like Riker's like not amused. He's like, this is like, I don't like it. And Troy's like, it's cool, it's fantasy, it's healthy, like don't take it so seriously. And then she runs into the goddess of empathy.
Yeah.
And her face, okay, in Netflix, I think like the time stamp is like 32 minutes 36 seconds. It's so fucking good. Like Geordi and Riker are like laughing, and Troy's face is like horrified. So like she goes over to the goddess of empathy. And the goddess goes, cast aside your masks and let me slip into your minds. And then Troy just goes, muzzle it.
Yeah.
And then they keep going, and they find Reg asleep on Dr. C's lap. It's so fucking funny.
Yeah.
So then Geordi's like, Reg, listen, we need you in the real world. And Reg is like, okay, fine. So like he goes out to try to like figure out what the hell's going on. Systems are like shutting down. Everything's going to hell. The short version is like they need to like they have to exit warp. The controls aren't responded. Injectors are physically jammed. Speed increasing. Shit is going down. Geordi can't do anything. 15 minutes, 40 seconds until structural damage. Lots of words I do not understand. Then they tease me with the suggestion of the separation of the saucer. And I was like, don't you dare tell me this unless you're going to fucking do it. It lasts 2 seconds and Data's like, no, we shouldn't. I was like, God damn it. Why tell me this?
Good point. I guess we should.
Why suggest it? You know what this does to me. No. So then like Reg is like, okay, just throwing this out there. But like, what if it's people causing the issue? And it's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So like, it's truly a stretch, but like, whatever. At this
they're
point,
supposed to just throw out any
with
idea.
it.
Yeah.
So basically, the like theory is that the Muckalucks maybe had like we're using like Invidium, which is like some kind of like thing that would maybe not be detected on like scanners that like can't see or whatever, but it's like used for medical containment fields, and because they're like, I don't know, we're donating their whatever to like help the whatever on the other planet with like the whatever virus. So maybe it's like in there, and then like one of the canisters was broken at the beginning. So maybe like, so they think O'Brien and Duffy, maybe like because they dealt with the canister, they got infected, and we're like, that's why the glass was all wonky. And they were like inadvertently spreading it around the ship. So then we hear 3 minutes and 30 seconds until structural failure.
Minor interjection. I actually really enjoy that scene where they're going through like what the different substances are that can do this. Like, I don't know if any of that stuff actually exists. I very much doubt it. But the fact that they take all of their clues, apply it to their hypothesis in order to narrow things down, I thought was a real good way of showing scientific theory at work.
Yes,
Yeah.
I don't understand most of it, but I did like the scene, and I think this was a good example of showing Geordi a good leader. Like, he wasn't shutting anything down. He was like, give me all your ideas, give me all the stupid shit, give me any shit, and I'll see what we can run with it. And so the way to like fix situation is you have to get the Invidium down to like negative 200 degrees Celsius, and they'll neutralize or whatever, and then the countdown is like 45 seconds, and then they're like 30 seconds, and then they like save it. Yeah, they like get it down. It's done. They did it.
They win.
So then Geordi's like, we should go to this other starbase for like complete systems and biodecontamination, whatever. And so then everybody's at the bridge, and Reg decides to goes up to the front and is like, I'd like to make basically a presentation, and I want to tell you all that I'm going to leave the Enterprise. And Picard's like, it'll be a shame, and you'll be missed, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, oh, shit, Reg. But then it's revealed it's on the holodeck. And then Reg just like erases his programs, except Program 9, which like, what the fuck is Program 9? Actually, I don't want to know.
It's supposed to be left up to your imagination.
Yeah.
I don't think I want to know what Project 9 is, honestly.
Yeah.
Program 9.
Program 9. And then I just was like, wait, did he like actually quit in real life or what? And I assume we'll probably never see him again either way.
You are incorrect.
We do see him again?
I won't tell you any more than that.
Oh, shit.
Just that you are incorrect. We will indeed see him again.
Oh, damn. Continuity. Continuity. Yes. Okay, great. Well, I'm happy to see Reg again, as long as he's not being too pervy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was a wild episode.
Like I said, I won't tell you anything about it, just we will see Reg again.
I actually quite liked this episode. It's
Me
not
too.
like my favorites. Like, I'm not like, in love with it. I enjoyed it. I think it was fun.
This is an episode I don't skip, largely because it's the introduction of Barclay, but also this is a good character episode for Geordi. This is like the mystery doesn't take over the episode. It is first and foremost about Reginald Barclay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I like Reg as a character, so they do a good job with him. It's too bad the actor is kind of a shit, but whatever.
Oh, in real life?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
He's just a run-of-the-mill conservative.
Oh.
It is nice to see a different type of character. Like, it is nice to see a character who isn't like confident in themselves in a very like sort of realistic way. Mm-hmm. Like, Barclay's at like the extreme end of things, in terms of like lots of people have social anxiety, not as many people have it like so crippling as Barkley
Yes.
does, but it is a more kind of realistic representation nonetheless.
Yeah. I think what's interesting about this is the episode actually got a little bit of backlash when it came out, because a lot of fans interpreted it as an episode specifically about mocking obsessive fans. Mm-hmm. And like, let's be perfectly fair. This episode does not tackle things like privacy or mental health well.
No.
This episode tackles mental health from a perspective of an episode of TV made in 1990. And that's fine. For 1990, this is pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the fact that they were like, you know, he wasn't like just a weirdo. It's like he had, you know, pretty valid reasons for it. Like, by today's standards, they didn't handle it super well, but by the standards of the time, I think it was a very sympathetic portrayal of someone who has like social difficulties. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like in that era, it would have just been like, oh, this guy's fucking weird.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, and left it at that. Although, one thing I don't like about this episode is they kind of don't really address like how much of a violation it is for him to be interacting.
Kissing Troy in the holodeck?
Yeah.
No, they definitely do
Fake
not.
Troy?
Because that's like...
It's bad.
Yeah, that's really fucked up. Like, for example, like, I think, like, shipping real people is, like,
Bad.
a no-no. Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
don't do that. So, literally recreating them as holograms is, like, extra fucking no.
Yeah,
And
that
especially,
is.
it's people you know.
Yeah.
It's people you know, but also,
People
what
who
also
did
was,
not
like, worrying
consent to
is...
this.
Also, the violence, the way that he, like, how he pushed Jordy, and then the way he put, like, Riker in, like, the headlock, and, like, pushed him to the so just, like, what? Mm-hmm. I did not like any of that. It just, like, yeah, you shouldn't be allowed to create, like, you know, real, I think, you shouldn't be able to, like, recreate people from the crew, or just,
Yeah.
I don't know, I'd almost feel like real people. Like, you can make up a person on the holodeck, but don't have real people, or you can have fictional people, but don't have real people. Because I also think of like Geordi with that Leah something, the other
Leia
scientist
Brahms,
thing.
yeah. He
Yeah,
does
and
reference that in the episode.
Yeah, no, I know, but they shouldn't be allowed to have real people
Yeah.
in the holodeck unless they're like there in person with consent. Just don't make up real people in the holodeck.
Or they should have, like, some strict restrictions on it. Like,
Yeah, what you can do with them.
yeah, the hologram can only do so much, you know?
Yeah, you can talk to them. I don't know, but like, I don't know. I just feel like just don't put real people into the holodeck.
Yeah, I feel like it's
creepy.
genuinely a slippery slope.
Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, you start with talking, and then people can say real weird shit, and
Yeah.
then like, I don't know. Just stick with your making up imaginary people to like be weird with.
Because here's
Like-
the thing, it's like, if you fantasize in your head this stuff, like, I don't think, like, that's fine, right? But the thing is like, he's, like, going through the effort of, like, recreating these people and, like, physically doing this stuff, and that's much different than just, like, imagining punching your boss, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, this is the equivalent of, like, you know, putting someone's face on a dartboard. You know?
Right.
Because, like, if you like, imagine beating up someone you don't like or whatever, that's one thing. But when you start to, like, physically act it out in the real world, like, I feel like that's where you're crossing a line.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what else was really crossing the line? Mm-hmm. Troy being a therapist to Barkley, and then immediately going and talking about the session to someone else.
Yeah.
Like, I love Troy, but like, she's not a good therapist.
No,
I
not
don't think
one
she's
bit.
a great counselor.
This episode does a lot of things incorrectly in terms of how it's perceiving its universe.
Yeah. And the thing is like, in the Star Trek universe, doctor-patient confidentiality doesn't really seem to exist.
No, it definitely takes place in a universe where that's either been eliminated or it's something that was never really part of. Like maybe the human race diverges into the Star Trek timeline just before the concept of doctor-patient confidentiality is made widespread.
But that's like, God, that's such a weirdly specific point to like divert.
Yeah, why not?
But I feel like they literally just didn't think of it.
Yeah, they didn't.
And
Oh yeah, that's true.
I could see it like maybe because it's in more of a military context. Like I think like that stuff is just a little less private in those situations.
Yeah,
Like,
that makes sense.
like your medical fitness and stuff. But yeah, still, it's like, maybe you shouldn't go blabbing on to everybody.
I'm with you on this, that the writers probably just didn't think about it, but I also think that the way that they tend to approach this kind of thing in Star Trek is as if the people on the crew are more like friends than they are coworkers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's a little bit of professionalism kind of lacking.
Yes. A little bit.
Yeah.
I did find it weird how like harsh Riker was in this episode.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't seem, yeah, I don't know why he took such like a hard, like even more than Geordi. And Geordi's like the one who was like his, like Reg's, I guess, supervisor. But like, man,
Yeah.
Riker really just like,
Okay,
Well,
so
I feel like he was already
really
pissed
harsh.
off at him.
yeah. So here's the thing about that. Riker's character is a little bit different here than we've seen him in the earliest parts of the show, because as the first officer, the role that he had on the ship wasn't clearly defined when the show was first conceived. The role of first officer in the original Star Trek series was also a science officer. And he wasn't really in charge of the crew in the same way. So in this show, they finally got that. I don't know when they came up with this exactly. I know they've mentioned it in at least one episode at one point. But they finally figured out the role of the first officer is essentially the manager between the captain and the rest of the crew. And they further go on as the show goes on to explain that he's responsible for things like scheduling and is responsible for team leadership and things like that. So like him taking somebody on the crew not being up to snuff personally like this is in line with what we're going to see going forward, but it's only just started to make its way in to his character. But also something to consider is that Riker's role on the Enterprise is something that is actually going to be questioned more and more as the series goes on, because as you recall from as we've been watching so far, there have been multiple points where he's been offered a command and he hasn't taken it. Mm-hmm. So that ends up being a point of character contention with him that gets explored as we go further on. Mm-hmm. So this makes sense regarding what's coming up, and they probably had an idea where they were going with him for what's coming up, but as of this point, they haven't really explored it very well yet.
okay, interesting.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense because it's like, you know, the captain's kind of in charge of like all the big decisions and stuff, and you can't really do that and be concerned with like the minutia of the ship.
That's right.
Which would fall under like the first officer's responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Essentially, they're world building by doing this.
Yeah.
And this is part of that world building, but yeah, they also haven't made it ultra clear yet. So
Yeah, that's why I think like it just feels really like sudden that all of a sudden Riker is angry at this one guy.
Yeah, that's fair.
When like he hasn't been like this to other characters that I can remember so far.
That's fair. We are already seeing, in general, Riker is a little bit less lax now than he was at the beginning of the show. Mm-hmm. And that's more what his character is like going forward. He's still fun. That never stops. but he does take his role on the ship a lot more seriously going forward.
Yeah.
Nice.
Unlike the goddess of empathy. Hey-oh!
Oh my god. The goddess
Good
of
shit.
empathy.
Yeah, that was a choice.
I do enjoy what Barclay adds to the thing. It's just nice to see a different type of person on
Yeah,
the ship.
he adds a lot to Star Trek, and it's great how they use that going forward too, because he's around for a while.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's not a main character. Okay, so you'll see him infrequently, but you will see him.
Yeah, you'll see him probably like about as much as Guinan, sort of deal.
No, I think it's less
well-
think I think
yeah.
he only comes around when it's a Barclay focused episode. But I don't want to go into too much about that because I want it to be a surprise when we see him more.
Well, I mean, I know that we're going to see him more. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess it's just like when.
Yeah, I don't want you to expect that we're going to be seeing him all the time or something like that.
Yeah. One spoiler I will give, he isn't pervy. So,
Yes.
Okay.
that's nice.
That's good. If this is the extent of his perviness, I'm glad to leave it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, his character continues to develop, which is great.
Okay.
Like basically the groundwork that they've laid for him here remains.
Okay. Well, that's good. I enjoyed
Yeah,
him.
Yeah, it's annoying
guess.
because I have definitely seen a lot of shows and films where they take a character, they take them through like an introductory episode where the middle point of their character or the beginning point of their character is what's appealing, and then they end up resolving that by the end of the episode or the film or show or whatever. And when they bring that character back, they revert back to the part that people liked more. So a nice example of this is like fucking RoboCop, where in the first film he gets killed, he becomes a cyborg, he's extremely robotic, and then he finds his humanity again by the end of the film. And great story, great satire, great film. And then the next movie comes around and they forget that last third of the movie and revert back to he's just a robot. So yeah, that's not what happens with Barclay.
That's good. I mean,
Yeah.
we've had a few like character introductions that have just been then like dropped. Like I can't remember what her name was, but the woman who was in engineering.
Oh,
think
that
in
spilled
season
coffee
2?
on
Yeah, because they introduced her and then they just kind of dropped it.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
that
so-
ended up being partially scheduling conflict, but partially a change of the guard in terms of the writers, and the new writers just didn't
Yeah.
really care about her. They weren't interested.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, now that you mention it, because she was like kind of awkward too.
Yeah, she was there in 2 episodes.
Yeah. So like maybe this was like their second attempt at an awkward person, I guess.
Yeah, I think in her case, it's not so much that she wasn't written to be a period-specific character with this problem, and we're going to explore this problem. She was kind of more meant to be like klutzy and nervous as like a more of a running gag, I think, is what they probably wanted to go for with it.
So
but also, she
funny.
wasn't there very much. She was there in a total of like 3 scenes.
Yeah. I think her name was Sonia Gomez.
That sounds about right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the name.
Pretty confident about Gomez, not Sonia, but yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Man, Riker really doesn't like being simulated, eh?
No.
No. Oh, little Riker.
Yeah, it's really gonna suck for Riker in the future with all this hating having to see himself.
I don't know what that means.
Good.
Yeah. So with that, we should move on to favorite moments and lines.
Oh boy. I got a lot, actually. I do like the line of the Riker, you're nothing but a pretty mannequin in a fancy uniform. I thought it was funny. Picard telling Geordi to become best friends with Reg. Oh, Picard calling Reg Mr. Broccoli.
Oh yeah.
That was the worst.
Yeah.
That's so good. Guinan's yellow outfit was great. Dr. C's outfit in the holodeck. She looked so good.
Because she also had like huge long hair.
Yeah. Wes just eating pie. I also like I loved watching like the guys with the doing their fighting in the holodeck. That was just really fun. It was like they just were having such a good time, and I like that. You can really like tell. it's not like a good thing, but I did find it like very funny. Sorry, when Troy saw the goddess of empathy.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
God
Like
damn.
her reaction
face.
was just truly
I definitely
so
screenshotted
good.
that one.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah. That was just so good. My least favorite part of the episode is when they teased me with the
The
saucer separation. How fucking dare you? How dare you, Star Trek?
Yeah, they're gonna blue ball you a lot with that, unfortunately.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
It's okay. You'll see it again eventually.
Yeah. Even though I don't think he deserves it, I really thought how Barclay interpreted Wesley was really funny.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I love everyone's like Three Musketeers alter ego. That was really fun. And I also liked because now this is like HD. I love how little the fucking fighting stunt double looks like Barclay.
Oh yes. Yes, he
like-
looks nothing like him. That was very funny.
Yeah, it's a completely different person.
I think there's a moment in the episode that really got me, that unintentionally got me, and it's when Barclay is like swishing his sword back and forth, about to re-engage with the fight, and he says, "I shall speak with my sword, sir." But as he's saying that, he accidentally clanks the other sword in the process, and it's like, you didn't mean to do that. He just had to be too close because of the shot.
Yeah. There's this moment in that sword fight where he's because at first he's fighting all three of them, and then it goes down to one.
Yes.
I forget who it is, but they're just going like back and forth with the swords, and he looks like kind of bored by it, and I just it's a really small like subtle moment, but I really like that.
I actually remembered that shot being longer for some reason, but it's only like 2 or 3 times that they go back and forth like that before it cuts to something else. And I was kind of frustrated that it wasn't as long as I was remembering it, but I would love somebody to make an art piece of Barclay looking bored sword fighting someone, but while like looking at his watch or something. But yeah, the other thing that really does it for me in this episode, not as comedy, even though it is comedy, is Data is really well used as a character in it. He's not around very often, but every time that he is around for a character-focused scene, he ends up providing valuable insight on humanity. In most cases, unintentionally. And that's great. I think that's a really good way to use Data, even if he's not supposed to be the focus of things.
Yeah, I thought that was really well done. And yeah, as you mentioned earlier, I like when they're sort of narrowing down what could be the cause of the problem.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it showed how the well-oiled machine of the crew really works well in a crisis. On that note, though, I am mildly frustrated by one very small thing, and that is the fact that when the matter injector was functioning, the antimatter injector was still not functioning, and it's like, this is a reaction, the matter-antimatter reaction, caused by 2 things. If one injector you can turn off, you can stop the reaction. That's just science, guys. I don't make the rules. This episode's terrible. I give it a 1 out of 10. Fail.
I did remember 2 little things that I also really liked this episode. One was Geordi seeing himself in the holodeck as one of the Musketeers and just like basically no reaction.
Yeah.
He just was like, oh, okay. It's just like, that's
It's
it.
me.
Yeah.
And then I also really liked everybody calling out number 1 for little Riker to come by. It was
was
like,
pretty
number
good.
one, little Riker.
Oh, random last piece of background corner stuff. This one's real short. When Barclay is complaining in the holodeck, what do you call it? He's complaining to Troy in the holodeck therapy room. He's talking about how Wesley pissed him off, and he's like, I know what a flux capacitor is, and it's apparently the actual line was supposed to be flow capacitor, but he said flux capacitor by accident. Flux capacitor is the thing that makes time travel happen in Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, that brings us to predictions for the next episode.
Ooh.
Yeah, so the next episode is called The Most Toys,
Okay.
and this is a data episode.
Ooh.
And your prompt is that somebody kidnaps Data.
What?
Yeah.
Is it Santa? The toys? Oh, God. Okay. So sorry, what's the episode called? Something about toys?
The Most Toys.
The most toys. I can't think of anything other than Santa Claus. Data is kidnapped by Santa to help make delivering toys on Christmas more efficient.
I guess, like, what possible reason could this person have to kidnap Data?
He wants to take him apart. That's what everybody wants. Everybody wants a piece of Data, if you will.
I want a piece of data, if you know what I mean.
Okay. I've got one. Okay, I've got it. Okay. So maybe, so obviously Data's a machine.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe this guy wants to have like, this is like one of those like baby doll situation things where like he wants whatever mechanisms are in Data to maybe he's a toy maker and he wants to figure out how like Data works so he can make a toy that'll be more like life, like alive, because that will be like a big fucking seller if you can like if you can have like a baby doll that like says shit or just like I don't know, or like a little friend for people. You can buy a little friend.
Yeah.
So yeah, so he wants to like dissect Data to like see how he's like works so he can make toys that like can be alive. Man, that's weird. So Santa.
Hey, it's Star Trek. It could happen.
That's true.
I mean, yeah, okay, that's what I'm gonna go with. He's like wants to make toys that can like be more like alive, and he wants to figure out how Data's works so he can make toys alive. Yeah, that's what I'm going with.
Okay. Well, if you'd like to see if Dory's correct, watch along with us and join us for the next episode of Fully Functional, a TNG podcast.
Goodbye.